Kar Hala, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahweh Shai, Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahweh Shai, Brakat Yahweh, Brakat Yahweh Shai, Thuwada, Abba, Babal, called Kadash. I like to give double honors to the elders and apostles of the Great Millstone that teach this truth, 100% truth. And the title of the lesson today is going to be called They Don't Fit. And it's referring to these Amalekites. You can see the picture there. I'm going to put it in the title also. You know, it's like they're trying to fit a square peg into a round hole, you know. And they just don't fit. They don't line up with the prophecies, man. They don't line up with the curses, you know, that will befall upon the children of Israel. Yet they say they are those people. And, you know, when I read through this, and as I make this lesson, I'm going to kind of, you know, change words around because of the algorithm so that they don't, you know, shut down this channel again. So I have to be very careful in how I go with these scriptures. And that's how you know it's the truth, man. The truth is one of the things that they continue to try to hide. So we have to be very circumspect and speak it allegorically, you know, when we doing our lessons. The book of Psalms, chapter 83, verse 3. And we're going to read on down 4 and 5. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together. And it's talking about who? Talking about all these other nations, man, outside of Israel. Talking about Ishmael, Moab, the Hamites, the Canaanites. All these other nations have consulted together because they know we are the Lord's chosen people and to keep this truth from us of who we are. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee. And let me get a little information. I looked up the Balfour Declaration, and I'm going to read through that. The Balfour Declaration, as it became known, was a letter sent on November 2nd, 1917, by then Foreign Secretary Arthur James Balfour, that's the one who created this Balfour Declaration, to the Jewish community leader, the Rothschild. The letter expressed support for the establishment of Palestine and for a nation home for the Ish people. So you got to be careful how you speak on here because of the algorithm. So they don't delete this lesson. The Balfour Declaration was the first time the British government endorsed the establishment of a national home for the Ish people in Palestine. Talking about those small hatters. We call them the 48ers. While many Palestinians say it is a betrayal, many Israelis believe it was the foundation. It was the foundation stone of modern Israel and its salvation of the Ish people. And you know, they call themselves the Ish people, means like pertaining to. They're not those people. They're converts. They converted into our nationality, man. And you know, like I said, call themselves the Ish people. Let me give you this. Until the year 1924, there was no letter J in the alphabet. The letter J was originally the same letter as I. And same thing, you know, they give us the name of Jesus Christ, man. His name is not Jesus Christ. His name goes back to the ancient language, man. The first language, you know, there was, man, and that was the Paleo-Hebrew. And his name, the Father being Yahweh and the Son being Yahweh Shai. There was no J, man. And J, if you go back to Jesus or Caesar Borgia, which they give the image of, is basically it's a slander. You know, it means you go back to I think the Spanish language really means earth pig. You know, pretty much what more abominable animal could you use to put in reference to the name of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai, man? So that's why we refuse to say the name, man. It's not Jesus, man. It's Yahweh being the Father, and Yahweh Shai, our Savior. His name is Yahweh Shai. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion, the head of the Ishq Agency, proclaimed the establishment of the State of Israel. U.S. President Harry S. Truman recognized the new nation on the same day. That's what we call them, the 48ers, May 14, 1948. So that's when he established them in our homeland, masquerading and pretending to be the people of the Bible, man. The book of Zechariah, chapter 9, verse 6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. So we got two people that's in our homeland that don't belong there. These Palestinians are not, they don't belong there. They claim as they're being a land also. And those Ish people. And the Lord, this is prophecy to happen. And so it's happening until now, Zechariah chapter 9 and 6, a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Revelations, so we're going into Revelations 3 and 9. Revelation chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. So even though right now we at the bottom, we're at the bottom of the pack, they push us way down and put all these other nations above us. When the Lord returns us to our rightful place, man, and to our rightful rulership, all these other nations are going to bow down to us. Right now, we consider the dregs of the world, man, the dregs of society. No matter where we at, no matter what other nations or countries that we've been scattered to, you're going to always find us, our people, there at the bottom of those other nations, man. But the Lord is going to put us first. And now how do we prove who we are and that they're not those people? We go to the curses. The curse is going to be a telling sign to show who the Lord's people are, man. And it goes through the bloodline. It's not, converts can't convert to this land, man. And I was watching beloved Elder Apostle Malcolm video of GMS Chicago. And he was kind of going over it, partly in this lesson. He does all the time, but he was going over it today and just kind of remind me and put the spirit in me to do this lesson, kind of go into a little more deeper. Deuteronomy, because you'll go to the curses, is going to show who we are, man. It's going to match perfectly. It's going to make that that square peg fit into its rightful shape, and that square cylinder is going to, and that round cylinder is going to fit into its rightful hole. So the curses. Let's start off. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spoke unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. There ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Now I don't ever remember in history those Ish people being put on slave ships and taken, to another place and being put in slavery, man. Put in to make bondmen and bondwomen of. They had their thing that they went on, in Germany at one time, but that doesn't fit into these curses. Who does that fit? That fit our people. You so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Still in Deuteronomy, because all the curses are going to be in Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, and from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle that flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. And that was those the Grecians at the time, through Alexander the Great, or the Greek, coming in and conquering all the lands. And what word of reference do they use to symbolize their nations, man? The Greeks, the Romans, the British, the Americans, all these, they use the symbol of the eagle. And so that was prophecy to happen, man, that they were going to conquer all these other nations, mainly you Israelites, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. So we were stripped of our native language, man, and we were forced, no matter what other nations we were driven to or sold into, that we had to take on their nation. So you have this northern kingdom, which speak a lot of them speak, the Latin tribes would speak Espanol, or either they speak in Portuguese, or what other nation that we in. Got us over there in China. We speak in Mandarin over there. Our people that are over there. Whatever nation that we've been driven to, and we've been worshiping their gods and their deities. Worshiping Caesar Borgia. A lot of our people are highly overdosed or drunken with the wine of Christianity. You find a lot of that into the northern kingdom. They go deep into it. And even the southern kingdom, you Jakes, man, you go into that the Baptists, that Caesar Borgia, man. A lot of y'all drunk with that wine of that. And now people that's driven up into with Ishmael up in the Arab nations, they worshiping after Allah. But let's go back to 48. Therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, that he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Now what other nation, and you can Google it, a yoke of iron on thy neck, and see what comes up. What's going to pop up? This image right here, man. You're always going to find that image, because our people went through that. Mainly the southern kingdom, man, Judah, but it went down into the South Americas as well. They went through that same hardcore bondage, slavery, but Judah being the main tribe, they really caught hell. So, and that's the image kind of. I don't remember those Ish people ever having that. You can't find an image of them having that upon their neck, having to go through that. And look at the bottom, it says slaves, man. That's what we are. Bond men and bond women. Our women and children were sold into slavery. Our families broken up, and we had to go to this devil for need of one of all things, man. Even though we tilled their crops, we raised their families, we built their homes and all that. All that was for them, off our hard labor. And you have this thing talk about reparations, man. We're not getting reparations on the side. We're going to get recompense when we come into the kingdom, man. When we're going to be overlords over these other heathen nations, mainly Esau, Edom. And the same is done to us is going to happen to them. They're going to go into hardcore slavery up under us to help build our kingdom. And it was said, let me go back to where it says we were sold into, the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Now, what is talking about Egypt? Is it talking about the Egypt that's over there in Africa? No, it's talking about modern day Egypt. This nation here, America, Babylon the Great, it symbolizes all those other heathen nations, man. All melted and compiled into one. And that's why you have the pyramid and obelisks all over the place here. You even see it on the money, on the dollar sign. The all-seeing eye with the pyramid, this place took up a lot of those other symbolisms from these other nations. And that's why I talk about this place as being modern Egypt. And you look up the word Egypt, Egypt really breaks down to meaning slavery or bondage. So thou shalt go into Egypt again with ships. So if we were taken from our homeland and brought to Egypt, we wouldn't need ships to get to Egypt, man. So it's talking about now, talking about in modern times. So how did we get over here into the Americans, this new Egypt? We got over here in slave ships, man, in the bottom of cargo ships. That's how we got over here. Some of the other tribes were already over here. The Northern Kingdom, they were already over here, and they were being persecuted and put in bondage. Then they brought over to the Southern Kingdom. The Lord prophesied this to happen, that both tribes will be gathered together again. If you go into Ezekiel, into one place, and that's here in Babylon the Great. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36 and 37. Yahweh shall bring thee and thy king, which thou set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. What's that place? Talking about here in the two Americas. And there shalt thou serve other gods of wood and stone. And what the main thing they put into them slave Christian people of our nation, man, they had them worshiping down to an image of Caesar Borgia on a cross. And even down in the South America, the Northern Kingdoms, what they did to them, they had them bow down. You go to Brazil, they got that image of Caesar Borgia high up on the mountain, man. You go to the Dominican Republic, they had the same thing, in Puerto Plata, top of a mountain, you got this image of Caesar Borgia on the cross. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. And what's that byword, man? We became Hispanic, Latinos, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, and for the Northern Kingdom or the Southern Kingdom became first you was Africans, you was niggers, you were what they call Afro-Americans. I think Jesse Jackson came up with that term back in the 70s. Then they switched from Afro-Americans to African-Americans to so-called blacks. So it's been all over the place. Everything but what our true nationality is, man. We're the Lord's chosen people, man. We're the Israelites. We're the Hebrew Israelites, man. That's who we are. That's our nationality. So we can be anything else but who we are. And once you start seeing who you are and finding out your heritage, then they want to come against you, because you can be anything but who you really are. And that's part of that myth that they've been portraying to the whole world, man. That lie that they've been putting out. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 50. And we're going to read on down from 50 to 56. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard person of old, nor show favor to the young. And we know that, man. They showed us no mercy, man. From the old, even to the babies, man. They, alligator bait, feeding our kids, our little babies to alligators, so they can capture the bull alligators, to smashing the Native Americans tribes, on a trail of tears, man. They would take their heads and bash them against a rock. Even they did that down in the Hispaniola, to the native tribes that was down there as well. If you got too old, they would call themselves putting you out of your misery, when you couldn't benefit them, when you couldn't work their fields or make them any merchandise anymore, or either just put you out there, let you starve to death. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 51. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land, until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or increase of thy kind, or flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. So we do everything for them, man. We make all their we work their factories, we work their fields. We do all these things just to get a little bit of pay, just kindly, just barely pay the bills, man. We forward this man kingdom. We pretty much pay servitude, you got the Northern Kingdoms out there working their fields, man. You ever been out in California, man? They got the Northern Kingdom, man, out there getting it, man. They be running those fields, man, out there in that hot sun, just getting it, bringing the grapes or whatever it is that they bring out there, because I drove trucks, I've been out there seen them. And from sun up to sundown, man, and they get very little pay for it, know, some of them, they have them living in these so-called, you pretty much call them slave shacks, you know. Verse 54, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil towards his brother, this part of his curses now, and towards the wife of his bosom, and towards the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. And you find a lot of Jakes, which they call, was the term they used for Jakes, you know, being deadbeat dads, you know, but that all was orchestrated by Esau Edom, you know. And you got a lot of Jakes, you know, because they were raised in this system, they don't have a sense of family, you know. But that's part of the lie, too, that they push out, because a lot of Jakes do want to be part of the children's family. But being in this system, they make it almost damn near impossible for Jake to be in a family, because they push this feminism ideology on our women, you know, which they ate up, you know, which they devoured it, and then, you know, they pretty much ostracized the men of our nation, you know, took his strength mainly in the southern tribes, man, to try to destroy you, because, you know, again, mind you, again, you know, Judah, you're the chief tribe, so that's mainly why they concentrate on you and destroying you. And you says, so that the man that's tender among you and very delicate, his eyes shall be evil towards his brother. And why you got, you know, gang on gang violence, man, all over the nation now. That shit done spread like wildfire, you know. You know, I come up, you know, I remember seeing it come up in the 80s and the 90s, man. That shit wasn't really prevalent, as much prevalent as it was like over the West Coast or maybe in New York and those big cities. But that shit done spread all throughout the South and everywhere, man, you know. Mainly through the media, through the propaganda, man, they were pushing that. And now Jake out here, you know, butchering each other, man, putting each other to death over lyrics, over, you know, gang colors, over music, and all these things, you know. That's part of the curses that the Lord has allowed to happen to our people. But he allowed Esau Edom to help orchestrate Jake to self-destruct, you know. Verse 56, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not venture to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness. That means she was very regal. You know, you wouldn't see a woman in that day nowhere near out there twerking, you know, with booty shorts on, with what they wear now, like damn underwear. You niggas see all the you know, the imprint. You know, you see the camel toe, you can see everything, you know, they don't hide anything. She's not delicate anymore. She's become like a wild brute beast, you know, like a whore, being here, mainly here in Babylon the Great, man. Not saying all our women, but damn near 98% of them, man, are totally destroyed in this kingdom, man. They got that feminism mindset, which they push this ideology, man, that to be truly free, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. You know, you can go out here and be like a man, and you can sleep with as many men as you want. And now we see the repercussions of it, because, you know, Eve not taking care of her family, you know, kids all over the damn place. That's why you get these little Pookies and Ray Rays, you know, that come from those type of communities that's run by these Eves, man. You know, she's out there running the streets. She's not a keeper of home. You know, she's not forwarding her man's kingdom. He put into her mindset that she can be as one, you know. That selfishness mindset, which is not going to help build a nation, which is only going to destroy our nation. So the tender and delicate women among you, which would not venture set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eyes shall be evil towards her husband. You know, that's where that feminism come in. She done drank that wine of Babylon, and now, you know, she feel that she's better than, or she's equal to or better than her husband, you know. And her bosom shall be towards her son and towards her daughter. And we're going to finish off in the prophet Isaiah chapter 3, verse 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of a well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomacher, a girding and a sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. Now, we see how beautiful our women, you know, the scripture tells us how beautiful and delicate and tenderness our women were before, you know. our women were, top of the nations, As far as all the other nations, our women stood out. Very beautiful, they had very beautiful hair. Even the southern and the northern tribes, talking about you so-called blacks, we had beautiful hair, our women did. Beautiful bodies, gorgeous bodies. Smelled good, smelled like a woman, smelled delicate. Now these women are become more butchy. They half the women now, they got deeper voice than I do, You hear some of these women talk, man, voices raspy as hell, deep, very deep and shit. They all scarred up, got cut marks on them, bang up marks, they out here fighting and shit in the street. They got the wig that they've been wearing on their heads with all type of chemicals and glues and shit. So now Eve can't grow any hair. And they start doing it on the young kids. These young women of our nation, starting them off early with that shit. And then by the time they're in their early 20s, they can't grow any hair. All the edges are gone, baldness. So they have to put on a wig and wear a wig all the time. And then, for some of these women, man, when they have those wigs on their hair, you smell that shit. It smells like death, And you can't tell them nothing, but they're going to continue to do what they feel, what they want to do, They're not under the authority of a man. So therefore, Eve is going to self-destruct. She's going to destroy herself. She's going to destroy her kids, which in turn going to destroy our nation. But that's all the plan of Esau Edom, man. To plant that seed in Eve's head, man. That goes all the way back to Salakia. That goes all the way back to Genesis. Eve making that agreement with the devil, man. Listening to the devil, he planted that seed in her head that she can be like a god. She didn't have to be under her man. She didn't have to be a helpmeet to her man, and therefore began the process of destroying our nation. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there shall be a stink. A lot of women, they go down to, you smell down, remember a woman and, you have sex. And in the past, man, and you heard brothers say down, smell like fish down there, smell like tuna or something. That's that woman because they don't have that sweet smell anymore. A lot of them don't. There really shouldn't be any smell, it should be if anything, a slight scent or something that, that smells, because they have so much DNA up in them. That's where that smells come from. They try to hide it and mask it. But once you start having sex, it comes out, That's because they slept with so many men. All that DNA is still up in them, man. It never really goes away, man. And instead of a well-set hair, baldness. You don't see those these Edomites. That don't fit those people over in our land. They don't have a problem with growing their hair. The women over there, they don't have a problem with baldness. They don't have a problem with alopecia and all that. That's a plague or a curse that's on our women, mainly the southern tribes, man. Eve, mainly on Eve because she's the head of all the other tribes, man. Judah, the black woman, and she's right now the most filthiest one out there, right? That's why she's catching the majority of the curses, man. And all these other tribes, and they look up and kind of follow after Eve, and that's why they start to catch a lot of these things that you see that's mainly Eve is dealing with. And they like term it as being alopecia, whatever they call it. I think Jada Smith has it. And, they can't grow their hair, man, because being so fucking wicked, man. That's the curse that the Lord put on them. It goes back to Deuteronomy. Really goes back to us breaking these curses, man. Us breaking that covenant, Shalakia, us breaking that covenant with our power, man. The Lord said these things are going to befall upon his people. You don't see that happening to them Ish people, man. This is our people. It fits us, perfectly. It's like a well tailor-made fit suit. You can try to put somebody in it. If it's cut and tailored to you, it's not going to fit them like it's going to fit you. So everything fits perfectly with the 12 tribes, man, with our people. And instead of a well-set hair, baldness, instead of a stomacher, a girdle or sackcloth. And you look at our women, man. You go into any of these Walmarts, grocery stores, or anywhere out in the public, man. You look at Eve, man, especially here in Babylon the Great. Their bodies is a catastrophe, man. The bodies totally destroyed. They got big, wide backs like linebackers. The women. Majority of the women are more bigger than the men. Most men, I think, average weigh out about 170 pounds. Anywhere between 150 to 170 to 180. But majority of these women now, they average over 200. The women are averaging over 200. They're bigger. They become like brute beasts over the men. 200 on up, man. Most of our women are, and they call themselves being thick. No, they being obese. They're not that tender and delicate women that was spoken of in Deuteronomy 28:56. They become brute beasts. They're bigger than strong, bigger than like the men are. And the men, they become more effeminate. Instead of a stomacher, are girding a sackcloth and burning instead of beauty. So our women have lost all their beauty, man. Used to be the top of all the other women, man, in the world. But now you look at our women, man. The piles of makeup they've been putting on over the years. They got bad skin. Their complexion is bad. The eyes. Many of them they smoke out all the time. They smoking weed all the time. They got the black lips. Eve was destroyed, man. Eve was totally destroyed herself. She lost a lot of her booty. And I'm not talking about all women, the majority of our women, man. She lost that tender delicateness that they were blessed with from the beginning. But that's pretty much it, man. It gives you pretty much detail of who the people are, man. That are the Lord's people that's supposed to be in the land. And the Lord tell you, man, until he brings us back, when he comes, makes his appearance, when he cracked them skies, that's when he's going to gather up all his people and bring us into our homeland. Not no Balfour Declaration, not no these other nations are going to be able to deliver our people and put it into our homeland. It's the Lord's going to have to do it. We're not supposed to go over there until the Lord do it. Because the Lord, as in prophecy, he's going to destroy that place, man. He's going to burn that place like he's going to do Babylon the Great. But Babylon the Great is not going to return. But we're going to return to our homeland because we're going to have these heathens over there cleaning it up and rebuilding it and bringing it back to its royalty. So we have to wait on the Lord, man, to go back. And when we go back, when the Lord brings us back, it's not going to be any more war, man. It's not going to be any more fighting. There's no fighting that's going over in Ukraine, no fighting that's going over there in our so-called in our homeland. All that shit is going to, be brought to an end, when the Lord comes back and bring us to our homeland. There's going to be peace on the earth because the Lord's going to shut all that shit down, man. He's going to destroy all these armies in the battle of Armageddon that's spoken of. So, where they get off coming out talking about they're the people, the Lord's people, man, ever since they've been over there since 1948, man, it's been nothing but wars, man, and rumors of wars continually. Ever since they've been over there, they've been stirring up that area, man. It's nothing but wars been going over there since they've been in the homeland. So they can't be those people. The Lord's going to evict them out of there, masquerading as the Lord's people, man. So that being said, man, hopefully this lesson is edifying. With that, say shalom.